Systems engaged. Frequencies synchronized. Prepare for incoming transmission. Coming to you from somewhere in the multiverse, this is Robots from Tomorrow. This show is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, and as always your podcatcher of choice. For the full archive featuring over 800 episodes of comics and comics-friendly content like interviews, book discussions, and freeform tomfoolery, please go to robotsfromtomorrow.net. Here is your host, Greg.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the show. This is, in fact, Robots from Tomorrow. My name is Greg. Thanks for joining me. We've got one episode left in our 5 episodes in 5 weeks event coming this Thursday. But today, we're taking a pit stop on that journey to check in with friend of the show, Samuel Teer, about his latest work, Brownstone with Marjulia. It's been over a year since the book came out, and Sam is back on the show to fill us in on how it's been doing, how he's been doing, and what the future might bring. Here is Samuel Teer finishing up the Robots from Tomorrow Brownstone trilogy with this look at the legacy of its Printz Award winning graphic novel. Sam, how you doing?
I'm good, Greg. Thank you for having me back. It's very good to be talking to you and to the Robots audience. Weird year so far. Been kind of odd. Back in January of this year, we were told we have won the Printz Award. And so for maybe listeners of the show who are probably like me and had no fucking clue what a Printz Award is, real brief. It's the Michael L. Printz Award. It's an annual literary award given by the American Library Association to recognize the best book written for teens based on its literary merit. It was established in 2000, and it's named after a school librarian who is dedicated to promoting young adult literature. So I think where we kind of last left off for folks that have been listening, the book was out. We were doing like some events and things like that.
For Brownstone, you've been on the show twice before. We had the road to Brownstone from Vita and our big catch up on that. Then 2 months or so after that, like June of 2024, I had you and Mar on the show. We talked about actually, making Brownstone, all of that stuff. I was able to go to her signing here at Dreamers and God, I can't remember the name of it. Store. I suck. Anyway, I was able to talk to I talked to both of you. I was able to see her, and then I think that was it for 2024. But okay, so January of 25, you're like, I got this call that I'm gonna win this award that I had no idea about, but everybody else was like, hey, this is a big deal, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, so we'll start there. Yeah. It's a Sunday afternoon over here. My phone is set up so that only really 3 people can call through. One of them is my wife, one of them is my mom, one of them is my literary agent, Jazz Perry. So I don't get calls from other people. It's very distracting. And I get a lot of spam calls, so, it just cuts down on all. So we're just hanging out at the house, not doing just a lazy Sunday. And I'm actually on the phone with my literary agent. We get off the phone and I look down at my phone and I have several missed calls and, like a voicemail. And I was like, I don't know what this number is. And I glance at the text from the translated voicemail. And it says the YALSA committee, which is related to the Library Association. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, dang, these spam callers, they are getting really targeted. And to the listeners, I need you to understand, I am not fabricating this. This is an actual thought that I had. So I get this, call. I'm like, it's weird. I still am like, I assume it's fake. I'm getting ready to text Jazz, my literary agent, being like, hey, I just got this thing. And I get a text from Mar, which is like, pick up your phone. So I call the number back. There's like 10, 12 librarians on this call. And they tried to get all of me for hours. And I was just like, sorry. And so they're like, so we want to let you know, you, like Brownstone, and you, and Mar, won the Printz Award. And I was like, oh, cool. Long pause. The person on the other end goes, "You have no idea what that is." And I was like, "Absolutely not. I do not." And they were like,
Yeah.
"That's okay." And so they sort of explain it to me.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of people in the background. There's a lot of hooting and a lot of hollering. There's people cheering. I was like, it's the weirdest phone call I've ever had in my entire life. And I've had a few weird phone calls. And, I get off the phone and I'm like, okay, well, yeah, thank you. They're like, yes, you have to go to LA later that year. I have to give a speech. So immediately I'm anxious about that. I'm like, okay. And so they're like, yeah, there'll be more. There's like a whole like video ceremony that's like they're doing all the announcements tomorrow morning. And everybody will know publicly tomorrow, but we're letting you know today.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, okay, great. Get off the phone, tell my wife. She's like, I don't know what that means. I go, I don't really know either. Still, it didn't really sink in.
Mm-hmm.
And so I call Jazz, my literary agent, and Jazz picks up and I'm like, hey, I just got a call from YALSA committee. They said we want something called the Printz Award. Is that? And Jazz, Greg has met Jazz. So
Mm-hmm.
Jazz goes, shut the fuck up. I like stopped talking because I thought she was actually telling me to shut the fuck up. And she's like, no, like, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah. And she starts crying. And I was like, what? Oh God, what did I do? What have I wrought now? And just like, let me call you back in a few minutes. And calls me back. And I was like, are you okay? And Jazz was like, I'm really happy for you. You don't understand what this means. And I go, I really don't.
Yes.
And so this is the moment where, like, listeners, you're going to understand what winning a Printz Award means because it's where I understood it. One of the things that happens when you win the Printz Award is your book no longer goes out of print. It stays in print in perpetuity. Basically, every library in the country has a copy of it. It is everywhere. People who, like, when they do like honors lists and things like that, you're going to be on these lists. So the notion that Brownstone now lives forever, long past me, is a heavy weight to be like, oh, previously I've been on the show. I was like, I'm surprised when anybody reads anything that I've written.
Mm-hmm.
And this is by far, I never expected anything like this. I expected the book to maybe get into a few people's hands. People would enjoy it and I would move on and do the next thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I didn't expect this award. And so it was really lovely. And then what follows in the aftermath of the next week is I am doing interview after interview. I did something for CBS New York. I was on TV. I was like, wow, I should not be on television. This is not. And it was really interesting. A lot of congratulatory messages from folks over at HarperCollins. So for the folks who maybe don't want to listen to what could possibly be a 2-hour episode, I'm going to make a small announcement right now. HarperCollins published Brownstone. They are publishing a graphic novel that I'm working on with Alex Moore called Castles and Cholos. That will come out in 2029. After Castles and Cholos comes out, I will no longer be working with HarperCollins in any capacity. That relationship has been severed and broken. And the rest of this conversation will sort of be building the scaffolding and explain why that's happened, because I do think it is broadly more important than me, because it can be of a service to other creators who are listening.
Okay.
Yeah, like we won an award, but I'm not working with them after that book comes out.
Right.
We're going to jump right back into things. I'm doing interviews, things like that. One of the things you're told when you win a Printz Award, the received wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
There's something that I want to mention. The Printz Award has existed for 25 years. We are one of 3 graphic novels to have ever won a Printz Award. American Born Chinese is the first. March Book 3 is the second. Then Brownstone. We're also one of 2 Latinx books to ever win a Printz Award. The other being Elizabeth Acevedo's Poet X. We are the only Latinx duo to ever win a Printz Award. Brownstone sort of exists in this very rarefied air. at this point. It's a huge deal. And like me finding out that we're on a list with Gene Yang and like Nate Powell, for example, both people that I've met and are some of my favorite people, but like boggles my mind. Right. And HarperCollins is telling us this is a huge deal. So I get that call, talk to Jazz, get off the phone and call our editor on Brownstone, Wesley Turner. Wesley and I were having an issue on a different project. So things were not great. But for me, even if I'm working with the same people, the same publisher, you have to compartmentalize those things. So Brownstone is separate than what was going on in Castles. HarperCollins had passed on another project of mine that I wanted to do, which is a long-running thing with HarperCollins. They don't really want to. They have my next book, Castles, so they don't really care about picking up anything else, which is what I've been told to my face. But I got on the call with Wesley, and we talked, and it was kind of a tense conversation because Wesley and I were not on great terms at that moment. But Wesley was going to take the book that they passed on back to acquisitions, which is sort of a rare thing. But this goes under the umbrella of things change for you when you win a Printz Award. Your books slide through acquisitions a little bit easier. Your advances go up. You have a name and a voice. And I will say that things did dramatically change for me after the Printz Award. Maybe not in the way that anybody thought, but they did change. So this is what we're going to start seeing. We had a 3-book manga series on submission with Abrams. They were already taking it to acquisitions before the Printz Award. Printz Award gets announced. We have a deal memo within a month, an offer for publication with some basic numbers and things. It's what you've agreed to before you do the contract.
Just really quick, you said Abrams. So now we have 2 publishers that you're, so we have HarperCollins, which published Brownstone, and then we have Abrams, where this 3-book manga series has been pitched.
Yeah. So there's an immediate effect where it's like, this made it easier for Abrams to say yes.
Okay.
Just to be very clear, the editor was in love with the book well before that. The Printz Award was just something that it could help slide it through to acquisitions. And it worked. And it was great. I'm very happy to be doing that. It's a 3-volume sports manga. Where else am I going to get to do this? Anyway, so that's kind of like a big thing. You're like, oh, okay. You know, I'm still overwhelmed with all of the like news and people reaching out and wanting interviews and things like that. It was a lot. They sent us to an event called Y'all West, which was in Santa Monica. That's in March. It's a pretty small event, author-run event. The only thing to note here is I meet Erica Turner, who was the original acquiring editor of Brownstone. Erica left about halfway through the process, so we locked script, and Erica ended up leaving Harper to go somewhere else. I think she went to IDW at one point. So I guess we get to meet Erica and have a chat. The other thing we got to do was I met Gia Ruiz, who is a member of the Printz Committee. And Gia had us, Mara and I were there together, so had us sign the first copy of Brownstone that got the Printz Award sticker on it. So she has a video of her putting the sticker on the book, and we got to sign that copy, and it was just really sweet. And Gia is such a lovely, lovely human being. So, you know, things are good, right?
Right.
The issues with Wesley that I'm having on Castles, which is a separate thing. Usually when Wesley and I have an issue, we get on a call, we talk. This happened a little differently as both Jazz and the head of Versify were involved. So Wesley and I couldn't handle it the way we wanted to. I was always of the mind that on a long enough timeline, Wesley and I would get through whatever this is and we get back to where we were. It's happened before. I was like, it'll happen again. Yeah. Wesley and I are both very passionate people, and sometimes we butt heads. It's just the way it is. That takes us up to like April.
Okay.
We have an email from the head of Versify that says we need to get on a call. There is no when people in publishing do this, and they know when they do this, they know they are sending like an anxiety alarm through everybody. It's a weird power trip sort of thing. It happens a lot. So immediately I'm like, they're going to cancel Castles and Cholos, because what other reason would there be for this weird cryptic call? And so in trying to find out, like, is this about me or is this about Brownstone? What is this about? I'm texting with Mar and I'm like, do you know anything about this? And usually Mar and her agent, Charlie Olson, usually know first.
Mhm.
Mar's like, no idea. Right. So we go into this
Okay.
meeting. It's with the head of Versify. It's me and Jazz and the head of Versify. This is a somber ass meeting because what we were told was that Wesley Turner, the editor of the Printz Award winning Brownstone, was no longer with HarperCollins. Those are the specific words that were used. It was shocking. I'm like literally texting Mar while I'm on this call going like here's
What
what's
the
going
fuck?
on. And Mar's freaking out. I'm trying to just listen and pay attention to what's going on in the meeting. It's a pretty short meeting. We get off that call and I call Wesley directly. And apparently I'm the first person to have called Wesley to give my condolences and to talk with Wesley. And really in about 45 minutes, Wesley and I moved past everything that was hanging over our heads, mostly because we had to. I've been on the show a lot. We've talked about labor. You know, I come from a union family. I always side with a worker over the company. So somebody's let go. That's never a good thing. I hate when anybody loses their job. Wesley was also very clear. There are a lot of things that she could not talk about because they're part of her severance agreement. So
NDAs.
there's NDAs. There's stuff that I am not privy to. But Wesley is let go, and we're all kind of shocked and pretty upset. So that's the end of March. Things are kind of quiet. We sort of are dealing with the head of Versify directly for like what's coming up in the future, things of that nature. I'm gonna mention this really quick. Just this is how the Printz Award works. You are allowed 2 guests. Usually one of your guests is your literary agent. And then, you know, if you have like a spouse or a partner, that's 2.
They're the +2.
Well, Brownstone is myself writing it, Mar doing art, but it's also Ashanti Forson doing color keys and color design, and Mary Claire Cruz, who was our designer. And it felt really important that the team was there. Harper was not going to bring them. So we had to make choices. I had to make a choice about where to use my +1. And instead of having my wife go, I invited Mary Claire Cruz. Mar invited Ashanti, so that we could have the entire team there because it is a celebration of all of us. We worked hard on this book together. So the important thing to note is not only would the head of Harper Alley, which co-published Brownstone, and the head of Versify be there, Wesley Turner, the editor of the book,
would not be there.
These are all important bits of groundwork. Early June, I turn 44. And by the end of that month, I am on a plane to Philadelphia and checking into the Ritz-Carlton, which is where Harper put us up. And just for people, because everyone asks this, they're like, well, the Ritz-Carlton's, it's fine. It's a hotel. It's fine. It's just fine. So we're going to get into like the nitty gritty of ALA right here. We're going to get like into the deets. So Thursday is like a travel day. You know, I'm getting settled at the hotel. I go have dinner with Jazz. And at this point, the public announcement of POK-TA-POK comes out, which is the sports manga with Abrams.
Okay.
We had talked with Abrams about, hey, there's a spotlight on me. Would this be a good time to announce the book? Abrams was like, absolutely it is. And we're like, great, that's a big fun thing. Now, going into ALA, I have a plan in place, specifically in dealing with the head of Versify and the head of Harper Alley.
Okay. ALA was the weekend of June 28th, 29th, Friday, June 27th, Saturday the 28th, and Sunday the 29th. So we say end of June. If we're going to get really specific, those are the 26, 27, 28, and then maybe 29 or whatever. But anyway.
And like, I think the conference itself runs throughout the week, but like, that is like the
you
initial,
didn't show up
like,
until like Thursday or whatever. So
right. Yeah. So like, you know, we're excited. We're having dinner and it's like, oh, look, the announcement's coming out. And it's like, oh, it's really exciting. And like, you know, this is great. People will know that like I'm doing more. And like I said, I had a plan in place to talk to the head of Versify and the head of Harper Alley in a face-to-face meeting. Instead of relitigating my past issues with HarperCollins, which were numerous and basically involve HarperCollins gaslighting me on a pretty regular basis, I wanted to clear the air. I wanted them to stop giving me platitudes, and I wanted them to give me something real, which is another book deal. Otherwise, I'm going to walk because I have a deal at Abrams. I know what I'm doing.
So going into this meeting, the Abrams deal, the sports manga, had already been announced. So they know that you have a relationship with Abrams that has been inked, regardless of sort of what happens with HarperCollins.
Yes.
That is going. And just to go a little more broadly for a second, a creative in your position, there is no real exclusivity, right? It's not like, hey, you've signed a deal with Abrams, so that automatically cuts off any HarperCollins relationship or anything like that. Obviously, you can have parallel relationships and correct?
Yeah, that's how it works. Okay. It's different than direct market comics if you're on an exclusive. I don't have any exclusivity with HarperCollins. We had already exercised an option clause, which is usually contractually they get to look at your next book.
Okay.
We had already exercised that years ago. For Castles, the option clause is specifically for a sequel, not for any future projects. But it is me leveraging what I have in play, which is the Printz Award and this thing with Abrams. And like, I'm going to be really upfront. I have told this to HarperCollins and to Versify. I was willing to be a Versify HarperCollins. But what that means to me is that they were going to invest in the things that I think we should be doing, not me repeating Brownstone over and over again. So just so everybody knows, that's kind of where I was with that. I knew I was going to push not a confrontation, but an open discourse. And listeners of the show know how I sound. Greg, you know me. I'm going to be direct, not rude. So I have this kind of percolating in the back of my head. And that takes us to Friday. Friday's the first actual day of ALA stuff that I have to do. Not until 5 p.m. we have a Printz Committee dinner, which has all the other honorees, as well as us and the Printz Committee. The head of Versify and Harper Alley are there. And we're always like a big dinner. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go walk around LA. I don't want to sit in my hotel all day. I don't feel like running around Philadelphia. So I'm like, let me go. I want to go to LA. I want to see this. Harper wouldn't give us our badges. The claim was that they didn't have time to print them out. So I went with Jazz because Jazz was my guest. We went to get our badges that morning. We went ourselves. We stood in line. They found our badges. They printed them for us, and we could walk around the show floor. And that's what we did. You know, Jazz is there, obviously, with me, but also for me, she has many other clients, but she had at least 2 other clients that were doing things at ALA. So we kind of go our separate ways. I'm kind of talking to folks at the Harper booth and whatnot. And, you know, like, people are nice. This is where I meet people from the school and library department at HarperCollins. Very lovely people. I met this lady, Mimi, whose last name I do not remember, but Mimi was amazing and grew up in Missouri. So she knows the weirdness of Missouri. We were bonding over that. It was really nice. I also got to meet a couple folks from the Abrams booth who were not in editorial. They were just people who were like, saw the book, like in office. And they were like, oh my God, we are so excited about this. And I was like, oh, very sweet, you know? So very nice stuff.
It's nice to walk around and get some positive reinforcement.
And just to see what ALA is. For folks that don't know, it's not a convention. It's a library facing sort of event. It looks like a convention. There's booths and books and all of this stuff, but it's not the same way as you go to San Diego or Emerald City, where you're spending your hard-earned dollars in that same way. It's not quite the same thing, but it is a very educator librarian facing event. So you're getting to meet people who not only have read the book, but are really passionate about it. That's a lot of fun. So I'm there like going, hey, is there something from DC around here? Look at Greg. So that evening, I have to head back to the hotel, get ready for the dinner with the Printz Committee. And then we take a car to the awards venue, and then we're doing the awards, and then that's it for the night. We go to dinner. And this is where I meet the head of Harper Alley for the very first time. I know about this guy.
Mm-hmm.
I have heard about this guy from other creators of color. He does not have a good rep with a lot of us.
Okay.
So I'm a little cold to him. Maybe that was not the way to handle it, but I was, in a particular mood. I am a little anxious about having this meeting with the head of Harper and Versify, which is supposed to happen now before my speech. We're going to go to the venue and talk.
Right before your speech.
Minutes before it's not ideal.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah. Sorry. So we're at dinner. Mar's next to me. I'm chatting with Mar. The head of Versify is next to me. And then there's some members of the Printz committee, across. The head of Harper Alley is down from next to at the end of the table. I was told by somebody at the school and library department to not talk about my future projects at dinner. And I was kind of like, I'll talk about whatever I want. But I did take it to heart and was not going to bring it up. The head of Versify specifically said to me, "Can you tell me what else you're working on?" I followed up with, "Are you sure you want to do this right now?" She says, "Yes, absolutely." And I'm like,
fair enough.
This is what I want to point out with HarperCollins. I have one person telling me, don't do this. Then somebody above them telling me, do this. Then later on, these people talk, and somehow I'm an asshole. I'm just going with what is happening in the moment. So we're talking about projects. The head of Versify seems to be really interested, and we're having this really good conversation, and she's excited about a few of these projects. Some of them she's cooler on, which is fine. That's always an option. And then I'm talking to Mar, talking to the members of the Printz committee. The members of the Printz committee gave us this magnet that they had carved that is etched, and it has the Brownstone on it. And it's this really lovely they gave to, and we were just like, oh my God, this is amazing. They were just the sweetest human beings. I mean, really. So we have dinner. It's nice. There's a little time for signing. We're all signing our books for every member of the committee. So they have little stations, and all the other honorees are there. And it's really nice. And it's interesting. We get in a car, we go to the venue. So we are doing a tech walkthrough. I am pulled by the head of Versify to talk with her and the head of Harper Alley. We go out to the hallway. We are standing in front of the women's bathroom. And I know I have a very limited amount of time. So I get to the point. And I tell the head of Harper Alley that I am really tired of 6 years of lies, mistreatment, and just generally trying to blow smoke up my ass when it doesn't work. I'm like, just be real with me. If you don't see the value in me being here, it's totally fine. This is where he brings up, I saw the announcement about POK-TA-POK. We would have loved to have published that. And I called him on his bullshit right then and there. I know for a fact, because I floated this to Harper before, I was told they will not give us the money for you to do 3 books. They knew that they had submitted us for a Printz Award, because that's who submits us for it, is the publisher. We don't know anything about it. The reaction that he had was one of surprise that I had that much information. So what I told him was they had a book of mine that they already passed on. It's called Blanca and Cadeo. It's a book that is extremely close to my heart. And so I said, you guys agreed to take this book back to acquisitions this summer. And I looked at him and I said, come back with a deal or I will walk away. Now, I am not a stupid person. I know that I am giving HarperCollins an out, and it is intentional. It is either put up or shut up. And if you don't put up, that's perfectly fine. I understand it's a business. I'm just going to walk away and not bother. So I'm fully aware of this. The event is about to start. The head of Harper Alley, from the moment I started talking, is trying to get me to wrap shit up. And keep saying, well, we should keep talking about this. We should keep talking about this. About the 3rd time he does that, I'm like, we're talking about it right now. And so I finish what I have to say. What I am left with is the impression from both the head of Versify and Harper Alley that this is a positive conversation. I felt like it was positive. I was getting stuff off my chest and then telling them that I'm committed to continuing to work with Versify and Harper Alley. But what I need X, which is give me a deal on Blanca and Cadeo. That shows me that you're going to invest in me. I didn't say a large money deal. I said a deal. Bring me a deal. Whatever it was, I was going to take. They could have fucking lowballed me and I would have taken it. So everybody seems to be A-okay after this meeting. We're all in a good place. We're shaking hands. We're smiling. We go back into the auditorium and we sit down, and I'm sitting next to the head of Harper Alley. And I'm like, this is not really a spot I want to be. And also, I have to pee really bad. I'm going to abscond and go to the bathroom. I go to the bathroom. There is Wesley Turner trying to get into the ceremony. Apparently, Wesley paid for tickets to go. I see Wesley, and I'm like, Wesley. And I go over, I give Wesley a hug. We are chit-chatting. And Wesley's like, I'm so happy. I'm so proud of you guys. And I'm like, I'm proud. I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah.
And so it's good. So, I go to the bathroom, come back. Before I go back and talk to my wife really quick, and then turn my phone off completely because award ceremony. And so at this point, I end up being the last one to go on, mostly through a mishap between me and Barb because I wasn't there for the tech rehearsal.
Mm-hmm.
Which Barb was going to go on last, but because I wasn't there, Bar ended up going on before me, which is fine. The speech I gave was a little bit long.
All right, guys, look. Everybody who's been up here before me has said some really wonderful things, some really thoughtful things about the state of the country and everything. I'm not going to do that. You've heard it. Rex did a great job. Marv did a great. There's no point reiterating it. What I am going to do is I'm going to tell you a story, because that's about all I'm good for. So, once upon a time, there was an adorable Latino boy. He was growing up in the Midwest. And this Latino boy, let's call him Sammy, just for sake of argument. He struggled to make friends. He tried too hard. He was too earnest, and he was too much of everything. And didn't have a lot of friends, or any, until he kind of delved deep into the world of comics. And that led him to making two friends who were also into comics. And this very dweeby trio, they rode the school bus together. And we sat they sat directly behind the bus driver. And I don't know, maybe it's changed in years, but back in ancient history when I was a child, or Sammy, that was not the place to sit. We sat there so that we would not get rocks or bottles or other things thrown at our heads. And what we did is we rode that bus home every day, and we talked about superhero comics, and we talked about superhero trading cards, because that's what there was. And it was great. It was some of my fondest memories. And a funny thing happened. Was one day I was racing through the halls on my way to the bus because hot on my heels, all of my tormentors. And I was the first person on the bus. Sammy was. Sammy was the first person on the bus. And he got there and slumped down in that seat directly behind the bus driver. Chest, beating, breathing hot and heavy. And the bus driver turned around. And she looked at him. She, Caucasian woman, brown hair, little ponytail, kind of a mousy demeanor. And she looked at him and said, "Hey, you like comic books, don't you?" And at that moment, I didn't know it. Sammy didn't know it. Trajectory of his whole life changed. She handed Sammy a coverless copy of a comic book It was a Superman comic. There's some debate about whether I'm misremembering or conflating two comics, but it was an unreleased issue of Superman during the famous Death of Superman arc. Now this coverless comic, you know, why is there no cover? Was a color proof. And as the bus driver told Sammy, her husband worked at DC Comics. And she said, you can read this, but you have to give it back before you get off the bus. Sammy vigorously is nodding. And so he reads the comic. And then he reads it again. And then he reads it a third time. And by the time Sammy's bus came to a stop and he got off, he was walking home, looking at the power lines that line the street. There was a thought rattling in his head, over and over and over. If comics is a job, then that's a job I could maybe have. And so, by the time Sammy got home, he threw open the front door, and a decision was made. Mom, I'm gonna make comic books. To which Sammy's mom responded, okay. That is the origin story of the author that stands in front of you tonight. Don't. We got, guys, we're going. And I wish I could tell you that everything that came after that for Sammy was easy. That the journey from Sammy to Samuel was simple and uneventful, and it wasn't, unfortunately. I struggled, and I made every damn idiot mistake that every writer should be damn embarrassed to make. But around 1999, I got extremely serious about making comics. It wasn't until 2013 that I got my first book deal, which was at Dark Horse Comics, for a little book called Vita Assembly Required. Still available in stores. I don't get any money from it because it's out of print. So. But that came out, Vita came out in August of 2015, to absolutely zero acclaim. No one read it, except for the 100 copies I sold at Denver Comic Con by myself at a table. Apparently I'm good at talking about comics. Who would have thought? But around that time, I begged Dark Horse to let me come to ALA. I said I would fly myself. I would put myself in my own hotel at my own cost, and all I wanted was 5 minutes to talk to a librarian, anybody. Because I knew that if they saw what I saw in the book, maybe they would love it just as much as I did. Dark Horse told me under no circumstances was I to come to ALA. And believe me, I got the email receipts. So, all their money was going to promoting Fight Club 2 that year. It was nearly 10 years ago. August 2025 is the 10-year anniversary of Vita's publication. 10 years later, I'm here accepting an award for a book that came out a year ago. After Vita came out, there was nothing happened for me career-wise. And believe me, I tried. Listen, any way to get an editor's email, I was doing that. I pitched to every publisher, they turned me down. Some of them literally said to me, we already have a Latino writer. Oh, believe me, they're still saying that. I'll tell you though, there was a moment in all of that darkness that changed my life again, the way it did with Little Sammy. And it was when I sent an email to an artist, and I got a response back that she wanted to work with me, that they wanted to work with me. And that artist is Mara Julia. And Mara and I emailed back and forth for weeks, and talking about our shared experiences growing up mixed race, the commonalities that we had despite living in vastly different parts of the country. I literally went to a high school that was surrounded on 3 sides by a cornfield. So those emails turned into Brownstone, and I've said this elsewhere, and if you want to hear more about the book, there's a podcast called Robots from Tomorrow that Mara and I are on. Just listen to that. But I was working at a hardware store. I saw a young Latina girl translating for her dad to one of the Caucasian employees. And I just wondered, what was their story? It was a weird thought. It's not one I normally think of. It just happened. And, I went home. That kept rattling around in my head. The writers in the audience are sort of like, you guys know what I'm talking about when something gets stuck. And I started to wonder if maybe their story could be my story, and if maybe that could be Mar's story. And if that could maybe be the story of every single person who doesn't feel like they fit in. And I started to work on Brownstone. And it took me about a year, a little bit longer, year plus, before we even put it on sub. And it was a year of waking up every morning and slicing my wrists open and bleeding on the page. Because I knew this is it. This is my last shot. The direct market didn't want me. So I went to the graphic novel space. I wasn't sure you guys were gonna want me either. And every single day, through tears and pain, I asked myself, is this worth it? And there was a voice back in my head. It was little Sammy's voice reminding me that comics are always worth it. And so, I'm bringing it on, guys. Making comics is literally the only thing I've ever wanted to do my entire life. There was a brief period when I was like 6 that I was going to be a paleontologist for sure. And then there was like a few months there when I was a teenager that I was like definitely going to be Kurt Cobain, and then he sort of committed suicide, and it didn't really seem like a good, trajectory. So, I don't have the aspirations of being a novelist or working in TV and movies. I just want to make dope comics with the people that I love and respect. That's it. That's all I ever wanted to do. Brownstone gave me a second chance at that. Julia gave me that. And she also gave me a much valued friendship that I never expected. Mar, you're my sister. Ben Grange, my very first literary agent who was, helped sell the book. He saw something in me when no one else saw anything in me. Erica Turner and Kwame Alexander, who acquired Brownstone in an auction, a process I would very much like to never do again. They also gave me that. Wesley Turner, who was our editor on Brownstone, who is no longer with HarperCollins. Wesley gave me that. And just as a quick aside, if you know anybody who's looking for a fabulous senior editor who is smart, resourceful, and has worked on numerous award-winning books, there is no one better than Wesley Turner. Ashanti Forson and their gorgeous application of color gave me that. Mary Claire Cruz's stellar and thoughtful design gave me that. And Jazz Perry, the agent who gets me in a way that no one does, who picked up where Ben left off, gave me that, and still gives me that with every project my mad brain concocts. And yes, despite our contentious relationship, even Charlie Olson gave me that. Hi, Charlie. And I thank every single one of you for having a hand in this, because Mar said it, it's a team effort. And I love you guys, and I respect you guys. And I swear to God, I'm almost done. I've been getting asked since January, what does winning the Printz Award mean to you? I didn't really have an answer. Don't get me wrong, I bullshitted some shit, but... I didn't really have an answer until now. And the Printz Award means that Brownstone's actually getting read. That's the biggest award I can have. I'm sorry. That people are actually reading the book. It also means that I get more eyes on my upcoming book, Castles and Cholos, over at HarperCollins. This is promotion time, folks. It means I get to work on 3 volumes of a truly wild sports manga called POK-TA-POK over at Abrams. And it means I get to try to make one of the most personal projects I've ever made. A story of a girl and her demon dog called Blanca and Cadeo, a reality, despite many, many editors not seeing the value in that project. And I'm very much looking forward to proving so many of you wrong. The Printz Award means that I get to wake up every single day and I get to make little Sammy's dreams a reality. So I, Samuel Teer, Printz Award-winning author of Brownstone, thank you for that. And so does little Sammy. Good night, guys.
So you've just given the speech. What's going through your head?
What's going through my head is I'm terrified.
Mm-hmm.
My left leg is vibrating, and I am certain that everyone can see me being this nervous. I was told later that I seemed like the least nervous person in the room, and I was like, oh no, I was terrified.
Like, hand me the Academy Award because that was exactly because I was going through.
I was really, really nervous. Giving a speech, I'm looking at the individual people that I'm thanking and clocking their reactions and things like that. And that was what mattered to me.
Mm-hmm.
I could not look at the rest of the crowd or anything. Like I couldn't. But it was nice. And then, you're given a very lovely plaque with the award, which Greg can see behind me. The rest
I
of
can
you
see
guys.
it. Very nice.
And then there's like some photo stuff. So then we're doing photo stuff. And the head of Versify goes to talk to Jazz because Jazz is also at this with us. What Jazz communicates to me is that Versify was very excited still coming out of that speech. Moments after that speech, they were like really excited, really want to like get a look at this project Sam's doing and this other project that he was talking about. These seem like things we could really do. I'm really excited about this. Okay. And Jazz, being Jazz, was like, great, go get him a deal on Blanca Gadeo and we'll talk.
Mm-hmm.
I was not aware of this, but the head of Harper Alley did not speak to Jazz. And I didn't really even notice because there was a lot happening, but in retrospect, also didn't talk to me after the awards. And I was like, interesting. So you guys have heard my speech. As we're getting through this, the speech will become a little relevant to Fallout. The team Brownstone. So Wesley Turner, myself, Mar, Ashanti Forson, Mary Claire Cruz are all there. We're taking pictures. We're laughing. We're chit-chatting afterwards. They have to kick us out of the venue. They are like, you have to go.
Yeah.
We are trying to close.
That seems to be a theme for the weekend.
Yeah, it's like, go. And so we all get back to the hotel. It's like 1 a.m. or something. And I go to sleep. I sleep a max of 3 hours. When I shoot up out of bed, riddled with anxiety about the speech I have already given.
Yeah.
Which is just the most delayed reaction possible.
Yeah.
And I am like in my head going, you already gave the speech. What are you freaking out about? Just relax, breathe. Full on sweating, panic attack. That Saturday morning is a 7 a.m. breakfast with HarperCollins and librarians. Mar tells me, I am not getting up at 7 a.m. Not happening. And I was like, this is fair. And since I'm already up, I'm like, I will go represent Brownstone. I will do my thing. So I have to go down like subfloor or sub basement, I guess, of the Ritz. It's really weird. It's a weird tunnel. That was kind of neat. That was kind of fun. but it's like a COVID breakfast buffet kind of deal. And I'm like not able to do this. Also, everything has dairy in it and I can't really do dairy. I'm having a coffee. I'm just kind of hanging out. The head of Versify spots me, comes over, chatting, very lovely, very gregarious, feels very authentic. And I'm like, okay, cool. Things are good. They shout me out because I wasn't there when they did the original shout outs. So they get back on the mic, I'm waving at people, and a lot of people are coming over to compliment my cardigans. It was nice. I saw the head of Harper Alley. I look at him, he looks at me, and he turns his head away from me. And I'm like, odd. A weird vibe. Maybe he thought I was going to go over there and sit with him or something. And I was like, well, I'm not going to go sit with you. I'm going to hang out here for a few minutes and then I'm going to leave, you know?
Yeah.
And 10 a.m. that morning, we have a Brownstone signing. And I didn't see the line. People said there was a long line. I didn't see it.
Right.
Seemed like there was a lot of people, but I don't know, because I don't typically do these types of signings. So they're just like moving librarians and educators through. This is where we find out, or at least I find out, that we are on the New York Public Library's Vibrant Voices list, which is a list of books by authors of color that the New York Public Library sort of bolsters. And it's just a really lovely list to be on, and was really just surprised by that. But, you know, we do the signing and we're done with ALA completely. They don't have us on any panels or anything like that, which it's just the award ceremony, the signing, and then go away.
On your way.
Which is odd because there was a lot of panels about people of color in comics. Seems like you'd want us there for that, but okay. So I'm at the end of my ALA obligations, kind of wandering around, meeting a couple of editors, meet somebody from DC, you know, and as Jazz and I are leaving, we're standing with a couple of other people who work in the industry who I will not name. But again, I see the head of Harper Alley, and he's much closer now. I say to Jazz, I will be right back. I'm going to go thank him for the conversation we had, and that I'm looking forward to continuing to talk, and that I felt like it was really productive. And I turn to take 2 steps towards this man. This man turns, looks at me, and scurries away like a scolded dog. To which I turned back to the group and I was like, I guess he had to go. And somebody in our group was like, you fucking rattled that dude. And I was like, I don't think that's what happened.
You're like,
me?
No.
Like, this guy is like 6'3" and I'm 5'5". I'm the least intimidating person you'll ever meet.
Did you see my leg last night? I mean,
I'm not an intimidating person at all.
Yeah.
So, but it was like, oh, weird. Now I'm like, maybe he had to go to the bathroom or something. I didn't think much of it.
Okay.
I leave the Ritz. We go to an Airbnb to stay because our flight's the next day, and Harper would not pay for us to stay an extra evening.
At the Ritz.
They wouldn't pay for us to stay anywhere. Full stop. The rest of that evening, I have a meeting with my new editor at HarperCollins, which was it was a weird vibe to that whole meeting. And then we go to the Airbnb, drop off our stuff. Greg, that's when you come into town. You, me, and Jazz are walking around. We go get ramen, and we're just chit-chatting for a number of hours. You know, and, you know, Greg was sort of helping me sort of process where I was with all of this. I'm used to fighting, and having an award all of a sudden means you don't have to fight as hard. I don't know what to do with that. And we talked about that. And Greg, I don't know if you remember this, but there were a couple of ladies that left that ramen restaurant. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Okay.
The older ladies.
Yeah. There are a couple of librarians that were like, hey, we were at the Printz Awards last night. We loved your speech. We loved the whole thing about little Sammy and all this stuff. And I was like, thank you so much. I'm so taken aback by that. It just made me feel like the speech was very well received. So I head back home. You know, I did not realize how burnt out I had become. I didn't write for 2 weeks, which is really abnormal for me. I'm always working on something. I did nothing for 2 weeks. It was wild. And I didn't realize how much ALA had affected me in that way.
So when you were in that spot, were you thinking like you can sort of see the end of where you're going to start writing again? Or were you just...
Well, the intention was to come back home and work. Couldn't bring myself to do it. I would just open the laptop and then stare out into space for several hours. I would not be doing anything, or I would just watch TV and like, I couldn't really quantify it. Yeah, I couldn't quantify what was going on, or I knew it was different. And I was like, you know, I talked to Jazz about it, and Jazz was like, it sounds like you're kind of burnt out with, you know, you've had like a really intense first half of 2025, and maybe you just need time to like rest and chill and maybe give yourself that. And I'm like, Jazz is really smart. Listen to Jazz. So that's what I was doing. But in that time, we knew that Harper was taking Blanca and Cadeo back to acquisitions. So we were kind of waiting to hear about that. So I think it was just about 2 weeks after ALA. Jazz gets in contact with me saying that the VP of publishing at HarperCollins has emailed her. It wants to have a conversation about me. That's it. That's, again, we're going back to this cryptic bullshit that is purposely engineered to make sure that people are panicked and there's a power imbalance. So now, Jazz and I have had a policy with Harper that they do not talk to one of us. They talk to both of us.
Or none of us.
Because Harper has a habit of trying to play us against one another, or just saying things and then backpedaling completely when they talk to the other one. The VP of publishing refuses. To which we continue to assert, this is the way we're going to do this. The VP of publishing goes over Jazz's head to Natalie, the head of Looking Glass, which is the agency that Jazz works at and that I am under their umbrella. This is engineered to intimidate us. It does not go HarperCollins' way. Natalie, who I adore, says to the VP, you need to talk to Sam and Jazz directly. What bit of information is relayed from the VP of publishing to Natalie, to Jazz, to me, is that HarperCollins is now threatening that they will no longer accept future submissions from me and that they don't want to work with me any further. To which I'm like, that was always allowed. I don't, why are we, I'm the one who gave you the app. So I'm like, okay. And now I'm getting a little hot under the collar. I'm not going to lie. And the fact that they have now brought Natalie into this is like a whole, it's shitty behavior. It's shitty bullying behavior is what it is. So I talk to Jazz and I say, just take the call with the VP. Now, the VP has stated the call will only be Jazz and the VP of publishing. Lo and behold, the head of Versify is on that call and ambushes Jazz and really throws her off balance, which considering all of the emotions with Natalie being pulled into all of this, I understand, right? It would have bamboozled me as well. This is another instance of HarperCollins. They will say something and then do whatever they want. So
the rules do not apply.
So Jazz informs me from that call that HarperCollins is passing on Blanca and Cadeo. And the reason for that is someone at HarperCollins is mad about my speech. The VP of publishing wasn't at the Printz Awards, so she didn't hear my speech. The only people that were there from HarperCollins, nobody from School and Library is there. The head of Harper Alley, the head of Versify. So very important. We have video of my speech. I upload that to YouTube. We send them the link. Harper says that they're going to talk to me the next day. After we send them that speech, they push that meeting to a Friday and then to the following week. I'm not going to speculate, but it does seem like maybe somebody misremembered something. So we have a Zoom with myself, Jazz, the VP of publishing, the head of Harper, Allie, and the head of Versify.
Okay.
And the energy of the head of Harper Alley, he has the most performative, I don't care if I'm here or not energy.
Mhm.
Dude is literally half turned away from his camera and he's eating his lunch.
Mm.
Which, look, I get it. You might be
Dick
hungry,
move.
but that's disrespectful and childish. And the whole time I'm watching this dude perform, I'm just thinking about him scurrying away from me at ALA.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh my God. So we start with talking about how Castles and Cholos is going to proceed moving forward. The publication date has been moved to 2029 to accommodate a production issue.
Mhm.
My new editor is the only person I need to communicate with at HarperCollins. And I'm like, great, sounds amazing. We move on to my future with HarperCollins, which I sort of take the reins of the conversation. I asked the VP of publishing directly 4 times to please tell me what is the line that it's perceived that I have crossed here.
Mhm.
Each time, the VP and the head of Versify talk around it. They don't actually say what the issue is. And each time, they pass the buck to someone else.
Mm.
At one point, they suggested somebody from the school and library department of HarperCollins is upset that I didn't acknowledge them in my speech, which is true that I didn't, because I hadn't met anybody from school and library until ALA.
Yeah.
And I only had one limited interaction with somebody via email, and it didn't involve the publication of the book. So I didn't mention them. And maybe that was an oversight on my part. But also, nobody from school and library was at my speech. Mimi was specifically not there, and I was super bummed because I wanted Mimi to be at my speech because I really like Mimi. Then they say the Printz committee had an issue with my speech. So now they're passing the buck outside of HarperCollins.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I tell them I will reach out to my contact on the committee, which is Gia Ruiz, and apologize for anything that I might have said. Harper does not move to stop me from this. So I do that. I reach out to Gia and tell them what is going on with Harper. I wrote an apology. There was a line in my speech where I skipped over thanking the Printz committee. I did genuinely feel kind of shitty about it and like expressed that to Gia and was like, I did not mean to overlook you guys. I'm so sorry. I appreciate everything that you've done. And I got not just a message back from Gia, but from other members of the Printz committee who are like, we have no idea what you're talking about, but we are so sorry that you are having to deal with this.
Mhm.
I cannot understate, like, the Printz committee are just the loveliest fucking people I have ever met in my life. And I am eternally grateful to them for picking Brownstone out of, I don't even know how many books. During this meeting, the head of Harper Alley finally stops performatively stuffing his face and mentions that they passed on Blanca and Cadeo because they felt like I would be unhappy with however they published me. I have never once complained to HarperCollins about how they published Brownstone. I have never raised any sort of alarm or complaint. I played good soldier. I showed up where they told me to. I performed for whatever audience they put me in front of. I did the interviews. I kissed the hands, shook the babies, did all of those things. None of what HarperCollins is saying in this meeting holds any water. I have a theory about this. There is a line in my speech about somebody who is no longer with HarperCollins that seems to be the issue. They won't say that. After I asked them 4 times to tell me what I did wrong and getting no answers, I have enough. And I say, I agree. I'm not going to submit future projects to you. This is the moment where the VP of publishing tries to interrupt me and walk it back.
Mm.
And I cut her off. And I say, no. This is what you told Natalie. This is what you told Jazz. I am not going to submit future projects. And the expression on the VP's face was one that read like, I didn't realize that Natalie told you.
Mm.
And I was like, yeah. Oh. Now, at this point, the VP of HarperCollins assures me that they're still committed to Brownstone and Castles and Cholos. The head of Harper Alley is he's going on and on. He's like, we're rooting on you from the sideline. Everything this man says is just a waste of space. So I get off the call. That call was scheduled for 30 minutes. The call went 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I go long.
Yeah.
I go long. I got shit to say. But at the 15-minute mark, I've said my piece and I log off the call. Now, I get off that call. I'm angry. I'm rattled.
Mhm.
Right. And less about my personal relationship with HarperCollins, but what the fallout could be. My concern becomes, is this going to affect Jazz's other clients?
Mhm.
Because almost all of Jazz's clients are comics people. And almost all of them are people of color. And so it's like, can this affect that?
Yeah, like how radioactive, right?
Yes. And can
Yeah.
it affect Looking Glass's clients as a whole?
hmm
So I am about ready to quit just to protect other people at this point. Jazz gets on a call with me and Natalie assures me in no uncertain terms that not only is she backing me, but Looking Glass is backing me. And this is important for me to note because I have had 3 literary agents across 4 agencies. And this is the first time that I have felt like the head of an agency has actually given a flying fuck about me. You know, on Looking Glass's website, they claim to be representatives for the bold. And a lot of these agencies have some little tagline that they don't really live up to.
hmm
I can tell you that Looking Glass walks the walk and they talk the fucking talk. And I am genuinely forever grateful that Natalie and Jazz and the rest of Looking Glass were willing to back my play when I walked away from HarperCollins.
Mhm.
So, you know, I have this call with Natalie, and after that, like, you know, Greg, you listen to podcasts. You
do.
listen to Word Balloon and things like that. You know, Suntress just had Rucka on, and Rucka talked about his stuff with DC. I think that sort of inspired me to talk about what I'm going to talk about a little bit right here, because Greg was so open, and I feel like I should do the same. That's what the listenership of Robots expects from me. So my mental and my physical health go down the toilet. Just I'm spending days barely able to get out of bed, which is, again, I suffer from depression, but that level of depression is wildly abnormal for me.
Okay.
I am now into a month of not writing. I'm having huge weight fluctuations. I'm rapidly gaining and rapidly losing weight, openly suicidal. It feels just like everything. It's not even about what happened with HarperCollins. It's about the extreme highs and the extreme lows of the previous year. It has just been so fucking much. I'm struggling. You know, Jazz notices this. My wife, Andy, notices this. And they're both wildly concerned. So Andy and I pack up our dogs and we head to San Diego for a vacation, which includes me going to San Diego Comic-Con for a day and doing a signing with the San Diego Public Library, which was actually really fun. We're at the library booth getting people to sign up for library cards and giving free books as an incentive. None of these people have read Brownstone. I think one person had heard of it. So I'm getting to pitch the book to people and chit chat with them. And it was nice. You know, I spoke to some other creators who also have issues with Harper Alley. And again, weird thing, the people I spoke with, all people of color. I'm not drawing any conclusions here.
You're not saying, just saying.
Saying it's odd. It's odd.
Yeah. I should have asked this before. So you're saying HarperCollins, Harper Alley, and then Versify. So Versify, I'm assuming, is like the smaller imprint within sort of HarperCollins is the bigger thing. Where does Harper Alley fall into?
So if you're looking at it as like an umbrella structure, it's like HarperCollins, Harper Alley. Every graphic novel published through any HarperCollins imprint is usually co-published with Harper Alley.
Harper Alley. Okay.
Versify is a specific POC imprint started by Kwame Alexander to spotlight authors of color. They are the ones who acquired Brownstone originally, but it is co-published through Versify.
All right. Okay. So like DC, Vertigo, and then like a sub-Vertigo imprint would be like the Versifies. Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly the way. Yeah.
Okay. Please continue.
It was odd to talk to other creators and they'd be like, oh yeah, I don't want to work with them anymore. The difference is I have a Printz Award. I'm already done with HarperCollins. I've already walked away. There's very little they can do. I mean, they could cancel Castles and Cholos, but If they do, it's retaliatory, and everybody will know that. And I'll be right back on here and we'll talk about that. Also, aside from that, I actually ran into Larry Young at San Diego Comic-Con and I actually spoke to Larry for like an hour. Like Larry pulled me like behind his booth and we're chatting. Ooh. It was nice. It was good. It was good to see Larry.
Had you met him before?
No, we knew each other from the Warren Ellis Forum.
Oh,
which is why I went over to introduce myself and give him a copy of Brownstone and to say thank you for every bit of knowledge I have. Mm-hmm. I learned from the Warren Ellis Forum. I got to sit at the feet of people who knew more and were giving us this information. I wanted to thank Larry for that. And,
just a little living editor's note here. Larry Young, Astronauts in Trouble, Planet Lair, Larry Young. So when you say Larry knows his shit, Larry knows his shit about putting together comics and that stuff. So
yeah, Larry knows a lot about publishing comics, promoting comics, pitching comics. If you are somebody who's listening and you're wanting to make your own comics, or maybe you're already making your own comics, Larry has republished his True Facts book. True Facts is back in print. I think you can just get it on Amazon. You can Google True Facts Larry Young. It's a collection of his blog posts that he wrote in the early aughts. A lot of it is still wildly relevant. And so now that it's back in print, Larry gave me a copy, even though I have a copy. I actually gave it to Jazz because Jazz is like, you're always talking about this book. So here's your copy. So
I have a copy floating around somewhere. No, it's small, so it wouldn't be on the.
It's a little guy,
Not even 6x9, but it's literally like the pocket guide to here's how you comic book. Boom. Anyway.
Yeah. But it was really lovely. Gave me this small recharge. We went to the beach and did a bunch of like vacation-y stuff. And I was still pretty depressed. And it had started getting better when we went to San Diego. But Andy, my wife, my dogs, Jazz, and even the folks at Abrams, either knowingly or unknowingly, were crutches for me as I struggled to kind of pull myself out of this. And just to be clear, I'm not healed. I'm not over it by any means, but I'm doing better. Yeah.
Good.
There's this saying that you can't heal in the place that's making you sick. And the longer I'm away from HarperCollins, the more I'm able to heal. And that's kind of an important part about this. So, Greg, you and I have been talking about me coming on to talk about this for a couple of months. And part of me just wants to let it go and ignore it and move on. And then Latinx Hispanic Heritage Month started. And there was nary a word from HarperCollins about promoting Brownstone, which, again, to reiterate, is a Printz Award winning title about navigating one's Latinx heritage by two Latinx creators. And as I mentioned earlier, we're only one of 3 graphic novels to ever win it. We're only one of 2 Latinx titles to ever win it. We are in rarefied air. Harper did the literal bare minimum. They posted it on their own Epic Reads platform and social media account. They didn't even post the cover with the Printz Award medal on it. I know that they have art assets that have it because they made graphics for ALA with the Printz medal. So I have to go through, take screenshots, then email my editor at HarperCollins and be like, this is a problem. And now, is this intentional? Are they trying to like mess with me because of this? Or is this ineptitude?
Right. Neither one of which is great.
It's bad all around. It's a black eye for HarperCollins no matter what.
Yeah.
And what I am told is editorial blames marketing, basically. It was a bit of a whoopsie. I'm like, okay, sure. I'm sitting there and they're not doing anything. They didn't ask me or Mar to do anything for Latinx Heritage Month, and very specifically told us that this was going to be a title they're going to push. Which is, again, another instance of Harper saying something and doing something completely different. And so what I told Harper was, that's fine. I don't appreciate what Brownstone has achieved being downplayed. which is what this feels like, I will take it upon myself to promote the book during Latinx Heritage Month, which is why we are talking today. The best way to promote the book is to hear all of this. But also, here's the thing. I have struggled with the weight of the Printz Award and what it means. It put a spotlight on me that I never sought out. And now I have a responsibility to talk about the malignant behavior I have experienced both before and after winning this award. Not to get people to not work with HarperCollins. That's not my intention. What I want is for creators to be informed about who they're getting in bed. Your experience at Harper might be different. It's very possible. I'm sure somebody has a positive experience with Harper Alley. I haven't met one yet, but I'm sure that they exist.
Statistically speaking, somebody may have a better relationship.
Yeah. So, you know, like I'm going to kind of circle back to where we started. This is my big announcement for Latinx Hispanic Heritage Month. After Castles and Cholos, I will no longer be working with HarperCollins. I will not work with them in any capacity in the future about new projects. I will continue to promote Brownstone and Castles. I will do what is asked of me for Castles because that book still means a lot to me. But the thing that I learned through all of this is that there's a perception of what awards do. And it's not necessarily what you think it's going to be. And I think that's an important thing to recognize. Like, I'm not an awards guy. I don't seek them out. We were not nominated for an Eisner Award, which seems odd that you would think a Printz Award winning book would get like an Eisner nom.
Yeah.
Fun fact, HarperCollins, unless you harangue them about submitting for the Eisners, will just not submit your book. I have somebody who will think that they want an Eisner. They had to fight with Harper to get their book submitted. HarperCollins, Harper Alley specifically, they don't care about comics awards, it doesn't seem like.
They're in the comics business, though. So
listen, Greg,
sorry, I didn't mean that like, you know.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And they're in a business that has rewards are used as marketing. There's a utility to doing them, even if you're not on board with whatever it is that the award stands for. Part of your business model should be trying to rack up as many awards for your books as possible so that you can sell them.
Yes, absolutely. And don't get me wrong, like the people who won Eisners this past year, much deserved people who, but like we weren't even in the running because Harper didn't submit us. So the big thing that I've learned here, and I think that this is an important thing to impart to any potential creators, even if you're already working in the industry, not every publisher is a fit for every author, and not every author is a fit for every publisher. And that is important. They do not own us. We comics creators do not exist at the pleasure and leisure of comics publishers. We do this because we're passionate about it and we love it. Everybody who's hearing my voice right now who works in this industry knows that this industry don't pay shit. We do this because we have to. Publishing should be treating us better than they are. And part of my entire thing, Greg, I've said it on the podcast before, and I say it all the time, is when all is said and done, when my career is finished and I'm dead in the ground, I want to leave this place, meaning comics, better than I found it. Brownstone winning a Printz Award is a step on that journey. There's a lot more work to do. And I want this place to be equitable for other people. And I have a spotlight, I have a voice, I have an award, and I have an ability to speak out. And not everybody does. And so I'll take that hit. We have to start speaking up and we have to start pushing back. Guys, I know there's so much shit going on. Everything is on fire. And the least important thing in the world seems to be fighting about this. I get it. I fucking understand it. And I understand if you don't have the bandwidth for it. At the end of the day, we do have to do these things. We have to push back. We have to be willing to walk away from shitty deals. I know so many people, Greg, that are taking some of the most abusive deals. The deals are getting worse. Seeing them. And I know of other people who are getting shittier and shittier contracts. And publishers are trying to take more and more. And it's not great.
No.
And if we take one thing from this, is that And I know like this is kind of like a bummer, like we're kind of winding down, but this is,
Well,
and I don't want to leave it at a bummer place because it's not a bummer place. I have a 3-volume sports manga coming out at Abrams their fanfare imprint, which is called POK-TA-POK. It is the most insane ass thing I've ever written in my life, and it is the most fun I have ever had. It's a group of kids playing POK-TA-POK, which is a Mesoamerican sport. It's kind of like handball, but you sort of use your like, your knees, your hips, your buttocks, it's based on like an actual Mesoamerican sport. We've just modernized it and blown it up. And I'm doing that with an artist called Devon Dowdy. And Devon, this guy's a fucking beast. He did literally one illustration of our main character, Cookie Chavez. And I looked at it, Jazz looked at it, Angie, our editor at Abrams, looked at it, and we're like, well, this is the fucking guy. This is it. This one sketch, he just got it. And I am so happy to be working with Devon on that. Castles and Cholos is still coming out, unless HarperCollins decides to be retaliatory and cancel it. And I'm working with Alex Moore on that. Alex is known for doing a lot of comics. People know Alex, but I know Alex from doing Dungeons and Daddies art. I adore Alex. Alex is one of my favorite people on earth. And I will work with Alex until Alex is thoroughly fed up with my nonsense. And we're going to get Alex on the podcast at some point. Yeah. Like that's like a like, cause Alex is a listener. And so, hi, Alex.
Hi, Alex.
And I have a couple of books on submission. Blanca and Cadeo is still out there. I got a thing called Sonia Dora, which is about a young Latinx girl who is being deported. And she can astrally project, and she astrally projects into the bedroom of a white passing Latino boy for what she thinks might be her last night alive. I've started taking a lot of the anger that I've been feeling about the world and finding a way to talk about it in a way that is meaningful to me. And then for folks that are interested in Brownstone, Mar and I are going to revisit the world of Brownstone with a follow-up project that we're calling Beto's Story. There are a lot of folks who have, since the book came out, expressed a desire for that story to be sort of expanded upon. And I felt really hesitant to do that. We were at Miami last November, and we were doing their book fair. There's a teacher who just kept pushing Beto's Story. Like, she like asked a question about it, and we were like, oh, we kind of want to leave it alone. And then we ran into her later, and she's like, you have to tell Beto's story. And it started sitting in my head and came alongside my own realization of my own queerness. And so I was like, this is the way to navigate the story. So again, Beto's Story, wildly personal for me. And also wildly personal for Mar. We did a sample script. Mars read it. I don't know when we're submitting that. I don't know where it lands, but I'm going to be really excited to do it. And the end of my relationship with HarperCollins is not the end of my career. I'm going to keep going. The Printz Award, as I said in my speech, allows me and little Sammy to keep doing this, to keep making comics. And I'm going to keep doing that. And I'm going to keep spotlighting things where I can. And I'm going to keep speaking out about the bullshit that I see. That is what you can all expect from me.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing. One of the things I like listening to this story is that you were very upfront about when you're talking to HarperCollins, you're like, look, I want to keep working with you, but I have things that I need. This is a relationship. I'm giving you material, you're giving me money, but in order for me to give you that material, I need to have certain things. And I think it touches on sort of a larger thing in publishing that's kind of, I guess, always been there, and labor in any way, shape, or form is, they want the most work for the least money, and you want the most money for the least work. And of course, it's a compromise. So you have to find where in that. But the idea that only one side can have demands, the idea that labor just needs to shut up, is something that has always been there and has been a real detriment to labor. So seeing instances where labor is coming together and voicing their demands is heartening to see people saying, no, this is not okay. I am coming to you in good faith. I will do what it is that we agreed to. But if you want me to keep going, I need X, Y, and Z. And if you don't want to give it to me, that's fine. No hard feelings. I'll go and do something else because we're all adults. And then when it gets shitty on the other side, which it seems to always do, it is exhausting. It has to be exhausting from your end because you're just like, fuck, why can't, what else could I have done? And the thing is, nothing really. Like, you were an adult, you did everything, you were upfront. It became both personal and impersonal. Like, you're trying not to take it personally, obviously, but it's like, okay, there are business reasons for them to do these things, like promoting Brownstone or whatever, and they didn't. And by the way, Hispanic Heritage Month is in fact 2 months. Like, it's the middle of September through like the middle of October. Yeah. It's weird. So it's not like it was September 1 to September 30. You wait until September 29 and say, like, man, you guys screwed this pooch. They have time to do, to rectify anything that you've talked about in one way, shape, or form. Even if it's just performative, like, at least you'd be like, okay, look, I understand it, whatever, but at least you're making the attempt. That's all I want. But apparently they haven't. So you're like, okay, what the fuck?
I understand my relationship with Harper is in the shitter. I get it. It's fun. But at the very least, they should have asked me and Marv, hey, would you take a look at some Latinx titles, or do you have some that we've published that you would be willing to recommend? Because that would be kind of a nice thing. We could put that up on our Epic Reads platform, things of that nature. They didn't ask. Unfortunately, a lot of the Latinx books that I would recommend are unfortunately Harper Alley titles.
Yeah.
So they didn't try. And I understand they're a large corporation and I am one person. But here's the thing. Maybe we should shift the narrative of how these awards are perceived. When you say this is going to change your life and all these great things are coming and your entire world is going to be different, that's not true. Look, I've met Gene Yang once at an airport. He's very nice and did not have to talk to me, but very nice. Gene is out there doing the work. Gene is out there working constantly and doing things. Yeah. Gene is not resting. Nate's another good example of somebody who is out there and is constantly working. I'm talking about Nate Powell, in case it's not clear. It frustrates the hell out of me that this is the perception of these. Like I said earlier, it did change everything. At this stage, I'm not sure if better or worse, or if it's just different. It got POK-TA-POK a deal. And that's cool as shit. I'm getting to do something so completely different. Because for years, no one would let me pitch anything that wasn't basically Brownstone. POK-TA-POK is radically different.
Look, I mean, an award, it's good, but it's not automatic. There's a larger discussion to be had about people assuming things are going to automatically happen because of X, Y is going to happen. As you get older, you start to realize that one does not beget the other. Just because somebody did something wrong doesn't mean they're going to be punished. Or just because somebody did something right doesn't mean automatically good things are going to happen. You have to make them happen. You have to speak out if you're given the opportunity to do so. Again, this is comics, so with power comes responsibility. Like, you can't get away, you can't get away from that because it is a truism, however you want to phrase it. You getting this award is a good thing. It recognizes your work, the work your team put together, the work that Moore and Ashanti and Mary Claire, all of you, and everybody up and down the line did. It also gives you a cover in a way, and you're using that. This is a shield that lets me, because people love awards so much, it gives you a voice to use or not use that other people don't have. So it gets you on New York morning television, right? It gets you on podcasts. It gets you speeches. It gets you this and that. And the use of that can be either for your own career or for a broader thing, or both. Hopefully both, because you should be able to use it for your own career, but also you see the career of other people that you look at and like, this should not be happening. What can I do to make things easier? And if that means talking about it and not saying things out of school, it's, I work at the government publishing office. Our motto is keeping America informed. I wish that were enough, but if you don't at least do that, there's no foundation to build anything, right? So you keeping people informed, you can sign a shitty deal if you feel like you have to. That person needs the information to be able to say, look, I realize this is a shitty deal, but it still does X, Y, and Z, which I need, and I will sign it. As opposed to, I think this is great. I can't ask for anything better. Let me go ahead and sign it. And you're like, oh no, this is horrible. I should have waited for that.
This goes all the way back to a little bit over 10 years ago with Vita. And I can publicly talk about this now, but I've spent the last decade excoriating Dark Horse at every possible opportunity. Wonder why they won't return my calls. Weird.
Kelstrom. Yeah.
But when we did the deal for Vita, I took what was offered. And listeners, I am telling you the exact amount of money. It was $1,000 to write Vita. That was what I was paid. My collaborator, Hendo, was paid more than that. But I'm going to be honest with you, not significantly more. Not commiserate to the amount of work that Hendo was doing. But we took a shitty deal because we knew this is our foot in the door. This will make things easier moving forward. You have to be informed about what that deal is. In my instance with Dark Horse, for example, there wasn't a lot. Dark Horse forgot to send the page of the contract with the media rights. They forgot to send it, so I had to call them and check in. And they were like, well, we can send it to you if you want to. And I was like, well, if I don't sign it, do I just keep them? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, well, let's just leave it. And they were like, and I was like, all right, fine. But like a lot of contracts now, they're very weighty. They're trying to take a lot of rights and future-proof themselves. And we just have to be more thoughtful. So for anybody out there listening, if you have a literary agent, that's great. If you're a SCAD kid listening to me right now, and maybe let's say somebody from Scholastic's graphics line has courted you and offered you a deal, please go get a literary agent. You can reach out to any number of people. Honestly, if you're at SCAD, you probably know Rashad. Rashad will put you in contact with somebody. But if you're not, you come find me online. Let me know. It doesn't have to be my agent. I know other agents. There are people that can help you negotiate that contract. We have to be doing this. For the direct market, it's different. So go with God. If you're working over there, I don't know what to tell you right now.
Yeah, the specifics are different, but the idea that you have something that they want. So that is precious. And once you give it away, you really can't get it back. So the weird power dynamic between labor and management, publishers and authors and creators, even just going into it, realizing it can be a balance, as unsavory as it may feel to people. They have to stand up for themselves because the publisher, management / whatever, will take as much as they can. And they always have, and they're doing it now. They're just more open about it. They've just stopped giving the fuck because they're like, the world's on fire or whatever. Everybody else is doing it. We're just going to do that too.
Yeah.
It sucks that you have to create and sort of manage at the same time. If you're a creator, you have to do those sort of things. They feel like almost diametrically opposed to each other, but you have to do that. And if you can help any other creator make that burden easier for them, we get better books and we get happier people. And Jesus, we need both right now.
Yeah. Like, I'm not going to go into what I know from certain direct market publishers, but I will say that there's some publishers who have positioned themselves as being the most creator friendly, who are sending out the most abusive ass contracts I've ever fucking seen in my life. I'm not going to name names right now. I will if I have one of those contracts sitting in my inbox and they want to give me some bullshit. One of them offered on POK-TA-POK, and we were like, absolutely not. Just the deal memo was like, this is ridiculous. It is important for young creators and creators of any stripe at this point, any age. You guys, you know your worth. You have to know your worth. And I don't mean be an arrogant piece of shit and be like, I'm worth $1 million book deal. I mean, you might be like, but you got to be a little humble, extremely thoughtful. And you have to make choices. And this is one thing that I will speak to about having a literary agent. That if you do not implicitly trust your literary agent, and they have not made it clear to you that they are here for your best interest, you need to find a different literary agent. I've gone through 3, and I've had to query each time, like 2 times out of the 3. So I've done like 106, 120, 30, somewhere around there, queries that I've had to send out to agents. I have met with probably 10 total over that time. 2 of them I chose. One of them chose me. At the end of the day, I chose my first agent, Ben Grage, who I love. I went to Inkwell where they chose me. It did not work out. I was not what they were looking for, and they were not what I was looking for. And I went back out on query, and I found Jazz. And that has been a foundational relationship for me. It is somebody who gets what I do and doesn't want to change you. You guys can find those kinds of relationships, and you can find those kinds of people to surround yourself with. And that can be at publishers. That can be in editorial. That can be in marketing. That can be in other spaces. But it sucks. Everything sucks right now. I know that's the understatement of the century, but everything sucks right now. And it's like, oh, and now I have to worry about making comics. And it's like, yeah, I get you. Sometimes there's bigger fish to fry, more important things to worry about. I do get that. But we have to fix this too. And I'm hoping that me talking very plainly about everything that's occurred with Harper lets people know that you're not alone. And what we do is so isolating. You feel like you're the only one going through this. No one else has ever suffered in the way that you have. And I am telling you, as somebody who has an award to his name, I went through it. I've gone through it before the award, during the award, and after the award. The thing I would like to remind people, and Greg, I think you and I have talked about this on previous episodes, is something that I say where, like, look, if Marvel and DC were willing to screw over Alan Moore and Jack Kirby, what are they going to do to you? So I am now going to say, look, if I won a Printz Award and I was just cast aside as unimportant, guys, what do you think these publishers will do to you? So be thoughtful, be smart, get people on your team. The one thing I've learned about this comics industry is the people are always willing to help. And it's one of the great things that we have. So reach out. You can reach out to me. You can find me on Instagram. I think I'm on Blue Sky, but I don't really use it. That's the easiest way to get in contact with me. If you have questions or concerns, or you just need somebody to be sympathetic, I'll do that. Greg and I like started high energy, and then we're both kind of like finding the place to land the plane.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to bring this plane in for a landing.
Like, there will either be significant fallout
or crickets.
So I'm like, either or, whatever. Like, whatever happens. This is done. This is over. It's now out there in the public. People can think whatever they want about me. I don't really care.
Yeah, it's good to have it out, and it's good to have it as a thing people can refer to. It's like, oh, Rucka was talking about this. Sam's talking about this. It's building this knowledge base, this conversation that everyone needs to be a part of. A creator to creator, creator to fan. The fans can say like, oh, I did not know that was going on. That seems really shitty. I didn't realize that was part of this and that. They don't have to, but people make choices about who they support and who they don't.
One thing I want to mention is that, like, yes, if you're somebody who's hearing this and you're like, oh, wow, they treated Sam really poorly. The 2 things to mention. One, I don't speak for anybody but my fucking self. I am not speaking for anyone on Team Brownstone. I want to be very, very clear about that. Do not stop buying the books from places like HarperCollins. It doesn't help us. If you stop buying, like, you're like, well, I was going to buy Brownstone, but now I'm not because I don't want to give HarperCollins any fucking money. That actually hurts us. That doesn't help us in any way, shape, or form. You know, that is the honest truth at the end of the day. And it sucks so hard. I wish you could be like, boycott. It's just not how it works. The people you're hurting are the people at the level that I'm at, the labor level. That's who it hurts. So what I would say is, if there's a Harper Alley title that you want to buy, go buy that title because you're supporting the creators. Yes, that money is getting filtered to upper management, not great, but we're supporting the creators, and that's what matters, right? We're doing the best that we can right now. So let's do that. So please support these books. I'm going to mention a couple of titles real quick. For Latinx Heritage Month, there's a book called Saving Chupi, which is about a girl who, I think she goes to Puerto Rico and meets a chupacabra, and it is adorable. So you're looking for like a nice middle grade for yourself or for maybe some kids in your life. That is a perfect book. It's really fun. I've got Frontera by Julio Anta and Jacoby Salcido. Jacoby, I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing your last name. You know how bad I am with last names. Frontera's an amazing book. Jacoby and Julio also did a DC book for young readers. They did Blue Beetle, This Land is Your Land, which is amazing and incorporates superheroics and political themes in a way that only Julio can really pull off. I adore it. Julio's great, and you should read his books. There's this one called Brownstone, I guess. No, we're not doing that. Oh my God, I almost forgot about this one. It just came out in the last couple of months through Harper Alley. It's called Silenced Voices, and the creator is Pablo Leon, and he's also Guatemalan, and it's about two sisters and the Guatemalan genocide and how that affects them. It's a very heartfelt book that is also educational without forcing the education on you. Those are some books I would recommend that you can check out, and yes, they are Harper Alley books, but those are the ones I've read and I have next to me. So I'm like, well, those are the ones I'm going to recommend. So yeah, like, there's good stuff out there. And if you're looking for those type of books, I would recommend any of those. And please keep buying the books because a boycott doesn't typically help us. It helped Jimmy Kimmel, but not us.
Buy don't boycott. Buy and then talk about what you like. Share that with other people. But also keep yourselves informed. Keep everybody informed. Information will save us if we act upon it. Okay.
That was the last thing I needed to get across because I was like, oh, shit. Make sure.
I'm going to talk about all these recommendations, and, Harper didn't fucking recommend anything. And you're like, oh, God, I didn't say what I was going to recommend, but you did. So.
Yeah, I was like, I wanted to make sure I get it.
Thank you for listening. Systems disengaged.